Hello, I'm Jess Hayden, and on behalf of the Susquehanna Folk Music Society, I'd like to welcome you to today's Community Sing with Windborne. Those of you that are familiar with Windborne's beautiful four-part harmony and repertoire of important and meaningful songs will know that you are in for a treat. Now on to a little housekeeping. I'd like to ask you to remain on mute throughout the workshop, and the artists ask if you have a question, please put it in the chat. Additionally, I'd like to invite you to join us tonight at 7:30 p.m. for a virtual concert with Windborne. Both of these events are supported in part by a grant from the Puffin Foundation. Please visit susquehannafolk.org to learn about future Susquehanna Folk Music Society events and to find a link to our YouTube, where we'll post a recording of this community sing for 1 week only. Now, please join me in welcoming Windborne.
Hello.
Hello and welcome everyone. We're so glad to be with you here today. This is the virtual version, of course, of an event that we had originally planned with Jess and Susquehanna. And we're so delighted to be here with such a great big crowd of folks. We also have a few housekeeping things. I believe that this recording of this will be up, but if you need to make recordings for your own learning process, you're welcome to do that as long as it's not sort of being distributed on the internet. If it's for you, that's great. Do it. We're also going to put in the chat the words, a Google Doc of all of the words for the songs that we're going to teach today, so that you'll be able to refer back to that later. So if you want to follow that now, we're not going to get there quite yet, but you'll have those when it's time. Other than that, we're really pleased to have you all join us. You know where the bathrooms are and the refreshments, so we don't need to tell you that. And yeah, I think we're just going to start off by turning it over to Lynn, and she's going to lead us through some warm-ups.
Yeah, so we always try to include warm-ups in our in any teaching or workshops that we do, and we try to do it ourselves before concerts and things as well. I didn't always grow up doing warm-ups before singing, but it really can help. So the style that I do is sort of a healthy singing and breathing 101 warm-up style. So I assume most of you are sitting down, as are we, and that's fine, but just try to sit nice and tall and stretch a little bit so that you're not all hunched over like we probably are most of the time. And roll your shoulders a little bit and feel what it's like to have space in your chest. This doesn't mean that I want your shoulders to be like pulled back the entire time, but just try to find a nice neutral, which might be a little more up and back than you're used to. My neutral, I feel like these days just gets shorter and shorter and shorter, but try to find a nice healthy neutral, and roll your neck a bit. A lot of us, I think, hold most of our tension in our neck and shoulders, and the other place is in our jaw, actually. So see if you can find that place where your jaw connects and give that a little massage. If some of this encourages you to yawn, then you're already doing a good job. That's great. And yawning is also good for you. All right, give yourself a little wake up tap. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Hello. Woo! Afternoon slump. Here we are, ready to sing. Okay. So now that we're nice and relaxed, yeah, tension is just the #1 biggest hindrance to singing. What we want is just a natural, open, and relaxed. So bring your attention to your breath, and we want you to completely relax your stomach muscles when you breathe in, so that all the squishy bits can just go forward. And I like to say that no one is looking at you and judging you, and that's actually the case. No one can see your stomach, so let it just kind of bleh, and breathe as deeply and widely as you can. Resist the urge to think of breathing up. Your shoulders have nothing to do with your lungs, and they don't need to be involved. In fact, they should not be involved. So let breathing be a forward and sideways motion, expanding wide. I'm just imagining that you're doing a great job. And now see if you can bring your attention to the back of your throat. In general, I don't want you paying attention to the back of your throat while you're singing, but I want you to be aware of it being open while you sing, while you breathe, rather. I mean, while you sing as well, but open while you breathe. And this can feel like a number of different things. It can feel like the back of your tongue dropping down. It can feel like a yawn. It can feel like you're about to drink a glass of water. It can feel also like you're saying the word uh-oh. And it's the open part. When you go up, that's when it's closed. And the oh is when it opens. If you can feel the back of your throat opening and closing. Which is like a weird in the back. And try breathing in with it wide open, and you'll notice it won't be a gasping sound. It might even be silent. So just try that, a breathing in with your throat in the back completely open. And you should get a lot of nice clean air that way. So the nice thing about breathing with your throat open, you're going to get more air than if you do that, what's going to make a gasp sound. Because if you're gasping like you're actually drawing air across your vocal cords, and you're not going to get as much air, and you're going to tire out your vocal cords. Not ideal. So it becomes a challenge of how quickly we can fully relax and fully open between singing. So this time when you breathe in, let's exhale on, if you can, a lip trill, which is brrr. And if you can't do that, which is fine, then try rolling your, doing a rolled R. If you can't do that either, still fine. Try a hum, but with an open mouth. Hum like a lot of space inside. So either of those on any pitch, and we're just going to do a nice open, wide breath, and then lip or tongue or hum. Ready? Breathing in. Lovely. We're going to do it one more time, and this time, before you breathe in, breathe out as much as you possibly can, and breathe out even more, as if you think you're going to die and you can't breathe out anymore, and then just relax into air as if it's completely effortless. So breathing out more, out more, out more, out more, and relax. Good. And this time, same nice, big, deep, open breath, opening the back of your throat. And this time we're going to release on a V, and it'll be V, 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 V. Just a nice scale, but on a V. Big, open breath. V, 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 V. Good, and this time, imagine rather than the scale going up and down, imagine it going in front of you, but it doesn't ever come back. It's just V, 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 V. It's only going forward, imagine that. And please mute if you're not on mute. Here we go, big open breath. V, 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 V. And if you'd like, you can even do the hand gesture that I am, each one going forward, never going back, only forward. V, 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 V. And remember to sustain that last note and keep it going forward. Don't just kind of relax it because it's the last note. The last note is still important. Here we go, open breath. V, 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 V. And this time, see if you can find as much space inside your mouth, even though it's an E. So rather than V, 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 it'll be V, 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 V. And if it helps you to have your hands here, try that. V, 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 V. This time with some gentle head motions so that you don't get tense. Good luck. V, 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 V. Keep the head motions even while you breathe, and if you find that it's difficult, that tells you that you're trying to tense up. Don't let it happen. V, 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 V. As it gets high, don't let it resonate in the back of your head. I know you've been told that, but instead try to find it as a forward resonance. Imagine a laser coming out right between your eyes. V, 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 V,
V.
This time trying lifting your upper lip and show your front teeth a little bit. V rather than V. The front teeth.
V.
One more if you can, nice and relaxed. Highlight a couple more. And now just kind of shake, shoulder shake. If you are a place where you can try to have water or some beverage on hand so that you can keep your throat nice and lubricated. If you feel yourself tensing, the more you can find that forward resonance and see if you can feel the air right at your lips and feel that forward momentum and buzzing right in the front of your face rather than having things in the back of our throats or even the back of our head. The more forward, the less pressure is going to be on your throat. It's going to be a nice open sound. The other tip, biggest tip I have for new singers is just open your mouth more than you think. It's going to allow so much more sound to come out much more effortlessly. So as we go, try to remind yourself of those tips. Open, relaxed breath, forward sound. I think we're ready.
Just jumping in for a second, we are not the hosts of this, so the permission to record, you're going to have to use your own recording device separate from this. However, I believe that Susquehanna is going to make the recording available in some fashion to the people who are at this workshop. So you can just wait for that, or if you want to just make your own like iPhone recordings or something like that, feel free. But yeah, we're going to jump into our first song.
I think is
our first song is called Fire in the Hole, and this is a union mining song that's off of our album Song on the Times, which is a collection of songs of social struggle from throughout the past 400 years. They're already in the chat. You can just hit enter. Okay. It's a piece, the lyrics are in the Google Doc that we just linked. We also just put them in the chat so you can see them. This is a piece that it was popularized by Hazel Dickens, and we, when we started researching our album and book Song on the Times, wanted to know a little bit more about it, and we're interested to discover that it's not actually a traditional union mining piece. It actually was written for the soundtrack of a movie called Matewan, which is a fictionalized account of a coal mining strike in West Virginia in the 1920s. But it's a song that was written for the soundtrack of that movie, and Hazel Dickens sang it on the soundtrack and then included it in her repertoire. And
sort of became a union mining song through her.
Yeah, but it definitely has all of the both the feel and the themes that you would find in a typical union mining piece. A lot of solidarity among the workers and sort of like the union themes. Before, I always forget this, but I don't want to forget to say this, but the lyrics, the original song only had 2 verses, and we wrote the third one ourselves because we wanted it to be just a little bit longer. And in trying to write that third verse, we were trying to walk this line of, we're environmentalists. We don't particularly love coal, but we do really support workers' rights. So we wanted to write a verse that really spoke to the union and the solidarity among the workers, but not necessarily about saying, yay, let's pull more coal out of the ground. So we like this song as a historical piece, but we are definitely all for green energy and workers' rights. But let's start just by singing the chorus so they can hear it, and then we'll take you through it.
Stand up.
Yeah.
Stand up, boys, let the bosses know. Turn your buckets over, leave your lanterns low. There's fire in our heart and fire in our soul, but there ain't gonna be no fire in the hole.
So that's the chorus, and we are gonna go through all 4 parts. The melody for this song is in the soprano line, and I'll sing it all the way through and then break it down line by line. So the melody by itself sounds like this. Stand up, boys, let the bosses know. Turn your buckets over, leave your lanterns low. There's fire in our heart and fire in our soul, but there ain't gonna be no fire in the hole. So the first line sounds like this. Stand up, boys, let the bosses know. Try that.
And I should just jump in, sorry, for everyone can learn this because it's really useful to learn the melody of a song no matter what part you end up singing. So just everyone jump in on this and whatever other parts you want to sing too.
Yeah, thank you. Stand. 1, 2, here we go.
Stand up, boys, let the bosses know.
The next line sounds like this. Turn your buckets over, leave your lanterns low. Everyone.
Turn your buckets over, leave your lanterns low.
Those two lines together. Stand up, boys. Here we go.
Stand up, boys, let the bosses know. Turn your buckets over, leave your lanterns low.
After that, we sing, there's fire in our heart and fire in our soul. Sorry, that's the starting note of that line. Whatever, we'll just sing it.
There's fire in our heart and fire in our soul.
But there ain't gonna be no fire in the hole. But there ain't gonna be no fire in the hole. Those last two lines together is, there's fire in our heart and fire in our soul, but there ain't gonna be no fire in the hole. Sorry.
There's fire in our heart and fire in our soul, but there ain't gonna be no fire in the hole.
So let's try the whole chorus melody all together. Stand up, boys, let the bosses know is the first line. 1, 2, here we go.
Stand up, boys, let the bosses know. Turn your buckets over, leave your lanterns low. There's fire in our heart and fire in our soul, but there ain't gonna be no fire in the hole.
Maybe one more time? Yeah, and I just want to call your attention to the transition between the second and third lines, which is, it just keeps trucking along. So we're, stand up, boys, let the bosses know. Turn your buckets over, leave your lanterns low, there's fire. So low, there's fire. There's no pause in between those. But yeah, let's sing the whole thing again one more time. Stand. 1, 2, here we go.
Stand up, boys, let the bosses know. Turn your buckets over, leave your lanterns low. There's fire in our heart and fire in our soul, but there ain't gonna be no fire in the hole.
One other normal pitfall when we teach this is that in this case, we have only one singular heart. There's fire in our heart and fire in our soul. One soul as well. Fire in our heart and fire in our soul. But there ain't going to be no fire in the hole. It's so that it rhymes, but there's no S's. And I guess it doesn't matter as much because you can't all hear each other, but man, one S can really carry.
True.
So learn it correctly.
Feeling good on that? Shall we sing it one more time? Yeah, okay. I'm getting a lot of thumbs up. Let's move on to the alto part or the bass. Which do we normally do first?
We can do the bass part. Yeah.
Bass part next.
The bass part goes like this. We're gonna start. Stand up, boys, let the bosses know. Try that. Stand up, boys, let the bosses know. And you're gonna stay on that same note. Turn your buckets over, leave your lanterns low. Try that. Turn your buckets over, leave your lanterns low. We're gonna put those together. Stand up, boys. Here we go. Stand up, boys, let the bosses know. Turn your buckets over, leave your lanterns low. And then we're gonna go. There's fire in our heart and fire in our soul. It's basically the same kind of pattern. Then fire in our heart and fire in our soul, but there ain't gonna be no fire in the hole. But there ain't, here we go. But there ain't gonna be no fire in the hole. There There's fire in our heart and fire in our soul, but there ain't gonna be no fire in the hole. Let's try that. There's fire in our heart and fire in our soul, but there ain't gonna be no fire in the hole. Listen to the first part again, and then we're gonna try the whole thing together. Stand up, boys, let the bosses know. Turn your buckets over, leave your lanterns low. There's fire in our heart and fire in our soul, but there ain't gonna be no fire in the hole. Said the first part, but we did the whole thing. You guys are great. Here we go. Stand up. Here we go. Stand up, boys, let the bosses know. Turn your buckets over, leave your lanterns low. There's fire in our heart and fire in our soul, but there ain't gonna be no fire in the hole. Cool. Let's try those two parts together. So pick whichever part feels more compelling to you at the moment. If you're a bass, maybe stick with the bass part, but otherwise, choose your parts. Quick.
So I think these two, you guys can
We'll sing melody.
and we'll sing bass. So you'll hear both of those parts in 2 octaves.
And Lauren and I will give you individual hands so you can watch us.
Stand up, boys, let the bosses know how the melody starts.
Stand
Stand.
up, boys. Here we go. Stand up, boys, let the bosses know. Turn your buckets over, leave your lanterns low. There's fire in our heart and fire in our soul, but there ain't gonna be no fire in the hole. Nice.
Yeah.
Sounded really good over here. Please do, if you have any questions or things that you want to hear again, put that in the chat. We'll keep an eye on that in case people want to run through a particular part again. But
Yeah. Meanwhile,
Yeah.
All right, we'll do the alto part next. Like Lauren, I'm going to sing it all the way through so you can get a sense of it, and then I'll break it down. Stand up, boys, stand. Stand up, boys, let the bosses know. Turn your buckets over, leave your lanterns low. There's fire in our heart and fire in our soul, but there ain't gonna be no fire in the hole. Yeah, so the first bit sounds like this. Stand up, boys, let the bosses know. Let the bosses know. That's your jump. Ready. Stand up, boys, let the bosses know. Turn your buckets over, leave your lanterns low.
Turn your buckets over, leave your lanterns low.
Stand up, boys, let the bosses know. Turn your buckets over, leave your lanterns low. We stay there for there's fire in our heart and fire in our soul. There's
fire in our heart and fire in our soul.
but there ain't gonna be no fire in the hole. Heart and fire in our soul,
But there ain't gonna be no fire in the hole.
And often as we're teaching the same part over and over and over again, we're human and sometimes the pitch sinks. Can we bring this back up maybe?
Thank
you. Thought so. Stand up so that'll be a little bit gentler on us altos. Let's try it here. Stand. I'm going to do 2 chunks at a time. So the first half. Stand up, boys, let the bosses know. Turn your buckets over, leave your lanterns low. Let's try that. Stand.
Stand up, boys, let the bosses know. Turn your buckets over, leave your lanterns low.
There's fire in our heart and fire in our soul, but there ain't gonna be no fire in the hole. There's
fire in our heart and fire in our soul, but there ain't gonna be no fire in the hole.
Yeah, alto parts in general, it can be easy to get it in the back of the throat and get it kind of growly and get really like, classic shape note belting sound. And I just encourage you to be nice and gentle with this one. Have it nice and forward, wide sound. So the difference between fire in our heart, rather than that, go for fire in our heart, a nice forward, smiley sound. Yeah, nice and relaxed. Let's do the whole alto part one more time. Stand up, boys, and
Stand up, boys, let the bosses know. Turn your buckets over, leave your lanterns low. There's fire in our heart and fire in our soul, but there ain't gonna be no fire in the hole.
do you want to try just the top two parts together?
Sure. Stand up, boys. Let the bosses
Let's take this up
know.
again.
Yeah, thank you.
Boys, let the bosses know.
Stand up, boys, stand is the alto, stand is the soprano, or really, any octave is fine. Are we can, nope, cool.
Just
the
soprano
two
and
of us,
alto.
just a little duet.
Stand up, boys, let the bosses know. Turn your buckets over, leave your lanterns low. There's fire in our heart and fire in our soul, but there ain't gonna be no fire in the hole.
Yeah,
And let's add the bass part to that.
Sure.
sure, we'll do a little trio here.
Stand up, boys, let the bosses know.
Stand up, boys. So we start in the same note, but then they drop down and we get to stay here.
Stand sopranos. A 1, 2, ready.
Stand up, boys, let the bosses know. Turn your buckets over, leave your lanterns low. There's fire in our heart and fire in our soul, but there ain't gonna be no fire in the hole.
Yeah.
All right. So there's one more part. There's a tenor part. And I'll sing it as we have been doing. I'll sing it all the way through and then break it down. It sounds like this. Stand up, boys, let the bosses know. Turn your buckets over, leave your lanterns low. There's fire in our heart and fire in our soul, but there ain't gonna be no fire in the hole. So that first line sounds like this. Stand up, boys, let the bosses know. Try that. Stand up, boys, let the bosses know. The next three lines are going to be, the next two lines rather, are going to be sort of variations on that same idea. They all end the same way. So you have stand up, boys, let the bosses know. And then the second line is turn your buckets over, leave your lanterns low. Try that. Turn your buckets over, leave your lanterns low. So far we've had stand up, boys, let the bosses know. Turn your buckets over, leave your lanterns low. Try that. Stand up, boys, let the bosses know. Turn your buckets over, leave your lanterns low. And then after that we have there's fire in our heart and fire in our soul. Pretty similar to the first line. There's fire in our heart and fire in our soul. So the first three lines together, all the variations on that same general format is stand up, boys, let the bosses know. Turn your buckets over, leave your lanterns low. There's fire in our heart and fire in our soul. So let's do those three lines together. Stand up, ready, and stand up, boys, let the bosses know. Turn your buckets over, leave your lanterns low. There's fire in our heart and fire in our soul, but there ain't gonna be no fire in the hole. I'll sing that one more time. But there ain't gonna be no fire in the hole. Try that. But there ain't gonna be no fire in the hole. So, all together we have stand up, boys, let the bosses know. Turn your buckets over, leave your lanterns low. There's fire in our heart and fire in our soul, but there ain't gonna be no fire in the hole. Let's try that whole thing all together. Stand up. 1, 2, 3. Stand up, boys, let the bosses know. Turn your buckets over, leave your lanterns low. There's fire in our heart and fire in our soul, but there ain't gonna be no fire in the hole.
So we just threw the workshop sheet music into the chat, so you can look at that file if you like the dots on the page. We tend to teach mostly avoiding that to sort of get it into a different part of people's minds, but we know that some folks like it, and so we do have it there for you. And again, feel free to use that for your own personal use and not public use.
And the sheet music is the 4-part harmony of the chorus, but it's just the words for the verses, just so you aren't surprised by that. And I'll put the Google Doc link back in the chat for anyone who wants to look at the words. Sorry, I totally missed that pitch.
Stand up, stand above.
Are we doing all 4 parts or just the tenor?
Let's do the tenor one more time.
Great.
Stand up, boys, let the bosses know. 1, 2, 3. Stand up, boys, let the bosses know. Turn your buckets over, leave your lanterns low. There's fire in our heart and fire in our soul, but there ain't gonna be no fire in the hole.
Sounded good here.
Let's just remind everyone of the 4 parts and sing it.
Yeah. Yep. Stand up, boys. Right. Melody. Stand up, boys, let the bosses know. Turn your buckets over, leave your lanterns low. There's fire in our heart and fire in our soul, but there ain't gonna be no fire in the hole. Alto. Stand up, boys, let the bosses know. Turn your buckets over, leave your lanterns low. There's fire in our heart and fire in our soul, but there ain't gonna be no fire in the hole.
Bass. Stand up, boys, let the bosses know. Turn your buckets over, leave your lanterns low. There's fire in our heart and fire in our soul, but there ain't gonna be no fire in the hole.
Tenor. Stand up, boys, let the bosses know. Turn your buckets over, leave your lanterns low. There's fire in our heart and fire in our soul, but there ain't gonna be no fire in the hole.
And all together.
Stand
Pick any part you want.
Stand.
1, 2, here we go.
Stand up, boys, let the bosses know. Turn your buckets over, leave your lanterns low. There's fire in our heart and fire in our soul, but there ain't gonna be no fire in the hole. Stand up, boys, let the bosses know. Turn your buckets over, leave your lanterns low. There's fire in our heart and fire in our soul, but there ain't gonna be no fire in the hole.
Nice. Hopefully that you picked a part and you were able to follow it all the way through. We'll go through the melody on the verses. So we just came out of...
And we're just going to do the melody on the verses as we sometimes sing it with more parts in concert, but for workshops we like to do the melody.
Yeah. Melody. So it goes like this. I'll sing the whole verse through and then break it down. You can tell 'em in the country, tell 'em in the town. The miners down in Mingo laid their shovels down. We will pull another pillar, load another ton, or lift another finger till the union we have won. Got mixed up on the words there. But the first part sounds like this. You can tell 'em in the country, tell 'em in the town. Try that.
You can tell 'em in the country, tell 'em in the town.
The miners down in Mingo laid their shovels down.
The miners down in Mingo laid their shovels down.
And I'll do that line a little slower just so you can hear it's a really fun line, but it can be hard to pick out. The miners down in Mingo laid their shovels down.
The miners down in Mingo laid their shovels down.
Third line is the same notes as the first. We won't pull another pillar, load another ton.
We won't pull another pillar, load another ton.
Or lift another finger till the union we have won.
Or lift another finger till the union we have won.
And that transition into the fourth line can be kind of funky. The way that I like to think about it is that we're coming back to a note that we've already sung. In the third line, we sing, we won't pull another pillar, load the note we sing on na of another ton, or lift. It's the note we come back to on lift. So that's one way to get that sort of funky transition. I'll sing those two lines together and then we can sing them all. So, we won't pull another pillar, load another ton, or lift another finger till the union we have won. Let's do that all together.
We won't pull another pillar, load another ton, or lift another finger till the union we have won.
Nice. I'll remind you of the first two lines and we'll sing the whole verse through. You can tell 'em in the country, tell 'em in the town. The miners down in Mingo laid their shovels down. We won't pull another pillar, load another ton, or lift another finger till the union we have won. Let's try that all together.
You can tell 'em in the country, tell 'em in the town. The miners down in Mingo laid their shovels down. We won't pull another pillar, load another ton, or lift another finger till the union we have won.
And then there's the transition back into the chorus. So for the melody transitioning back into the chorus, we're singing, or lift another finger till the union we have won. Stand up, boys, let the bosses know. So anyone who's singing melody, let's try that. Or lift
Another finger till the union we have won. Stand up, boys, let the bosses know. For the bass, it's gonna go, or lift another finger till the union we have won. Stand up, boys, let the bosses know. Let's try that. Or lift another finger till the union we have won. Stand up, boys.
It's the same thing, but in octave for the altos. Or lift another finger till the union we have won. Stand up, except we stay there on boys and we don't go down like the basses do. Or lift another finger till the union we have won. Stand up, boys, let the bosses know.
It's the furthest thing from what you've been singing if you're singing tenor. Or lift another finger till the union we have won. Stand up, boys, let the bosses know. Or if you happen to be singing the melody in the upper octave, it could be something completely different. Or lift another finger till the union we have won. Stand up, boys, let the bosses know. Just sort of have to go for it. But yeah, let's try it. Or lift another. Or lift another finger till the union we have won. Stand up, boys, let the bosses know.
Or just tune in real well to Will's voice.
Yeah. Let's just sing that ending and then hold on the stand up, boys. Do those notes slowly.
Okay. So everyone is together on or lift another finger and then we'll do those, the beginning of the chorus slowly.
Or lift another finger till the union we have won. Stand up, boys. Cool.
How'd you do?
One more time, that same thing, now that you're ready for it. Or lift.
Or lift another finger till the union we have won. Stand up, boys. Let's just very quickly go over the other side of that, coming around.
Gonna be?
Yep.
So for melody, we go, ain't gonna be no fire in the hole. You can tell 'em in the country. So from ain't Ain't gonna be no fire in the hole. You can tell 'em in the country, etc.
Basses. Ain't gonna be no fire in the hole. You can tell 'em. And we'll just go with that.
Yeah.
Ain't gonna be no
fire. I don't know how it goes. Ain't gonna be no fire in the hole. You can tell 'em in the country.
If you want to be cheating in your the alto, ain't gonna be no fire in the hole. Tell 'em in the country.
Forgotten about that trick. What about tenors?
Ain't gonna be no fire in the hole. You can tell 'em in the country.
Aha.
Very easy if you're gonna sing that melody in the lower octave. If you're gonna sing it in the higher octave, you'll have to jump an octave up. Ain't gonna be no fire in the hole. You can tell 'em in the country.
But
So
the nice thing about
either-
going into the verse is that we're all singing it in unison, so we have power in our numbers.
You'll be able to hear it. There's the
And
only thing to hear.
so I think at this point we should, everyone should pull out their word sheets. It's on that Google Doc. So this is the time to pull it out. And we're going to sing through the whole song. And we're going to get it right. So
And there are no mistakes in folk music. There's only variations.
only
so-
variations. So yeah, sing along, pick a part. We'll give you those starting notes and we'll go for it.
Just know that the different verses scan slightly differently, so just roll with it.
Stand up, boys, stand,
up, boys.
Stand. And if you're in a place where you can stand up and sing, that's always good for your posture. Ladies are allowed to sit. Boys have to stand. Stand. We'll do the chorus twice at the beginning and twice at the end. A 1, 2, here we go.
Stand up, boys, let the bosses know. Turn your buckets over, leave your lanterns low. There's fire in our heart and fire in our soul, but there ain't gonna be no fire in the hole. Stand up, boys, let the bosses know. Turn your buckets over, leave your lanterns low. There's fire in our heart and fire in our soul, but there ain't gonna be no fire in the hole. You can tell 'em in the country, tell 'em in the town. The miners down in Mingo laid their shovels down. We won't pull another pillar, load another ton, or lift another finger till the union we have won. Stand up, boys, let the bosses know. Turn your buckets over, leave your lanterns low. There's fire in our heart and fire in our soul, but there ain't gonna be no fire in the hole. Well, Daddy died a miner, Grandpa he did too. I'll bet this coal will kill me for my working days are through. I'm in a hole that's dark and dirty, an early grave to find, but I plan to make a union for the ones I leave behind. Stand up, boys, let the bosses know. Turn your buckets over, leave your lanterns low. There's fire in our heart and fire in our soul, but there ain't gonna be no fire in the hole. Sitting high and mighty, they think they got control. They think they got the power 'cause they bought up all the coal. They want us to stand divided, they want for us to fall, but we plan to stick together to make victory for all. Stand up, boys, let the bosses know. Turn your buckets over, leave your lanterns low. There's fire in our heart and fire in our soul, but there ain't gonna be no fire in the hole. Stand up, boys, let the bosses know. Turn your buckets over, leave your lanterns low. There's fire in our heart and fire in our soul, but there ain't gonna be no fire in the hole. Yeah!
Yay!
All right. right, so that is a project, that song comes from a project that we did, an album and songbook called Song on the Times, which came out in 2017. It's a songbook of songs from movements for people's rights, social struggle, and it really has sort of set our course for the past 4 years. And we are about to come out with a new album, which is a little bit of a follow-on to that, called Of Hard Times and Harmony. The Indiegogo page is still up. We'll drop that in the chat at some point. We'd also love to just give a quick shout out to our Patreon supporters. Those are folks who have signed up on patreon.com/Windborne and are getting all of our new songs, as well as some of the teaching and recordings of concerts and all of that as well. A little bit of behind the scenes look at what we're doing. So thank you to all of you folks who are out there supporting us. And I've seen some of the songbooks of Song on the Times there. I think we're going to try and fit in 2 quick songs, 1 or 2 quick songs now, to round out the hour.
Yeah.
Waters first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is a song by Sarah Lynch Thomason, and the words should be in that Google Doc that Lauren sent before, and we're gonna send it again or something.
Yep,
Or
we're gonna put it in
we're just gonna paste the words in. Yeah, so that same doc should have More Waters Rising, and this is a fun, simple song. It's just the melody, and this is you get to create your own harmony if you want. This is the fun one about this. It's fun doing with groups because you can feel free to stay in the melody or also just make up your own parts. And it's a fun sort of a protest song. And it sounds like this. I'll sing the whole thing and then break it down as usual. There are more waters rising, this I know, this I know. There are more waters rising, this I know. There are more waters rising, they will find their way to me. There are more waters rising, this I know, this I know. There are more waters rising, this I know. Yeah, and of course, you have the cheat sheet, so you already know where I'm going with this. That is one of those songs where you just replace certain words, but most of the words stay the same. But for now, we're just going to focus on the first verse, and I'll break it down. First bit. There are more waters rising. Try that.
There are more waters rising.
Because they're well trained, they know this already. We really like to have a sharp cutoff and that moment of dramatic silence after more. So try that to really have, there are more waters rising. Try that.
There are more waters rising.
This I know, this I know.
This I know, this I know.
There are more waters rising, this I know.
There are more waters rising, this I know.
So the whole beginning sounds like this. There are more waters rising, this I know, this I know. There are more waters rising, this I know. Those 2 parts together.
There are more waters rising, this I know, this I know. There are more waters rising, this I know.
Then we get to the higher part. There are more waters rising. Try that.
There are more waters rising.
They will find their way to me.
They will find their way to me.
Yeah, and it's a little bit of a different rhythm there. So there are more waters rising. They will find their way to me. Try that.
There are more waters rising. They will find their way to me.
Good. There are more waters rising.
There are more waters rising.
Yeah, and then the ending you already know. This I know, this I know. There are more waters rising, this I know. So from this I know.
This I know, this I know. There are more waters rising, this I know.
The whole second half sounds like this. There are more waters rising, they will find their way to me. There are more waters rising, this I know, this I know. There are more
waters rising, this I know. So from there are more, and
There are more waters rising, they will find their way to me. There are more waters rising, this I know, this I know. There are more waters rising, this I know.
so do you remember the beginning? Oh boy, way back then. There are more waters rising, this I know, this I know. There are more waters rising, this I know. I'm just gonna keep going. There are more waters rising, they will find their way to me. There are more waters rising, this I know, this I know. There are more waters rising, this I know. All
Maybe
together.
we can just jump into the song.
I think we can probably at this point just jump into the song. So as you can see, I don't need to call it out, but maybe I will anyway. But more
Yeah.
waters rising, and then more fires burning, more
We'll
mountains
call it
falling.
out as well. Yeah.
Ah, the one thing I'm going to warn you of though, once we do water, fire, mountains, we're going to go back and do I will wade through the waters, I will walk through the fires, I will rebuild the mountains. And the key here is rather than they will find their way to me, it switches to when they find their way to me. So just watch out for that and have fun. So the first several verses will stay, I'm looking at you all, in unison.
Great.
Then you're allowed to split, then they're allowed to split into harmony, and you can feel free to either play with harmony or stick with me, either way. A 1, 2, 3.
There are more waters rising, this I know, this I know. There are more waters rising, this I know. There are more waters rising, they will find their way to me. There are more waters rising, this I know, this I know. There are more waters rising, this I know.
More fires burning.
There are more fires burning, this I know, this I know. There are more fires burning, this I know,
This I know.
There are more fires burning, they will find their way to me. There are more fires burning, this I know, this I know. There are more fires burning, this I know.
More mountains falling.
There are more mountains falling, this I know, this I know. There are more mountains falling, this I know.
This I know.
There are more mountains falling, they will find their way to me. There are more mountains falling, this I know, this I know. There are more mountains falling, this I know.
I will wade through the waters, harmony.
I will wade through the waters, this I know, this I know. I will wade through the waters, this I know,
This I know.
I will wade through the waters when they find their way to me. I will wade through the waters, this I know, this I know. I will wade through the waters, this I know.
I will walk through the fires.
I will walk through the fires, this I know, this I know. I will walk through the fires, this I know.
This I know.
I will walk through the fires when they find their way to me. I will walk through the fires, this I know,
This
I know. I will walk through the fires, this I know.
I will rebuild the mountains.
I will rebuild the mountains, this I know, this I know. I will rebuild the mountains, this I know. I will rebuild the mountains when they find their way to me. I will rebuild the mountains, this I know, this I know. I will rebuild the mountains, this I know.
Back to 1 really quiet.
There are more waters rising, this I know, this I know. There are more waters rising, this I know. There are more waters rising, they will find their way to me. There are more waters rising, this I know, this I know. There are more waters rising, this I know.
I will rebuild the country.
I will rebuild the country, this I know, this I know. I will rebuild the country, this I know, this I know. I will rebuild the country when they find their way to me. I will rebuild the country, this I know, this I know. I will rebuild the country, this I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for singing. And I just wanted to say that Sarah, in addition to being an amazing musician, is also one of the authors of the essays in our book, Song on the Times. She wrote, each song on that album includes an essay from a guest author, and she wrote the essay for the song, Which Side Are You On? And your Google Doc has a link to more information about her Patreon page, and also a video of her singing More Waters Rising. So there's a lot more stuff along those lines in that resource.
Give light, no teaching?
Sure.
Yeah, so we're just gonna close out with a little song, and just you'll pick it up as you go along. But thank you so much for joining us. Thank you to Susquehanna folk for having us here for the workshop. If you're not already signed up for the concert, please do. It's at 7:30. It's going to be great. We're going to sing a lot of songs, and I think there's going to be a little Q&A afterwards, and so we'll get to hear from you a little bit and tell you a little bit more about ourselves. But yes, we are Windborne on Facebook and Instagram, Windborne Singers, windbornesingers.com. You can go to our website and sign up for our mailing list. You can go to Patreon. You can also go to our website, and there's a store with all of our music that you can get for download or order the actual album. And those are all great ways for supporting us and for getting some more music for you or folks that you love in your life. So here's
And all those things are linked in the Google Doc as well on the last page. And this is a piece called Give Light, based on a quote from the civil rights activist Ella Baker, give light and people will find a way. And I always blank, Terry, who's the name of the person that wrote it? If one of you might know it, if you know it, throw it in the chat. I'm totally blanking on the composer's name, but we'll sing it through. Join in as you pick it up, and it's one of those plug in the word songs, and we'll feed it to you as you go. Give light, and people will find a way. Give light, and people will find a way. Give light, and people will find a way. People will find a way, I do believe. Give light again. Give light, and people will find a way. Give light, and people will find a way. Give light, and people will find a way. People will find a way, I do believe. Sing songs. Sing songs, and people will find a way. Sing songs, and people will find a way. Sing songs, and people will find a way. People will find a way, I do believe.
Speak truth.
Speak truth, and people will find a way. Speak truth, and people will find a way. Speak truth, and people will find a way. People will find a way, I do believe. people will find a way. Teach peace, and people will find a way. Teach peace, and people will find a way. People will find a way, I do believe.
Spread joy.
Spread joy, and people will find a way. Spread joy, and people will find a way. Spread joy, and people will find a way. People will find a way, I do believe.
Give light.
Give light, and people will find a way. Give light, and people will find a way. Give light, and people will find a way. People will find a way, I do believe.
Thank you all so much for joining us. If everyone wants to come off of mute for 1 second, and we can all say hello and goodbye, and we hope to see you at the concert this evening. So thank you so much.
See you tonight.